On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, we look back at the defeat against Wolves, talk about the price of a pint at York against Dagenham and Redbridge, and tease another special episode that's coming soon. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me, the two Jakes, Jake Robson.
Hello.
Hello. And Jake Saunders.
Hello.
You all right?
I'm good, you?
You went on Saturday?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Jake, Saturday?
I didn't go.
You did go to some football.
I did go to some football, yeah.
Where did you go?
I saw a great game.
Okay.
I went to York City versus Dagenham and Redbridge.
You probably had a better afternoon than we did.
I'll tell you what, I didn't. Beers were £6.70 a pint.
£6.70.
Non-league?
Yeah, National League.
Is it a new ground?
I don't care.
Yeah, but
Everybody knows. Well, everybody knows.
How much is a pint at Tottenham?
Yeah, it's like
about between 5 and 6 maybe.
And
yeah, but you've got 60,000 people
I'll
paying
always
that.
say though, when the stadium opened, the beers there were about
£4.20
£4.50.
for
Yeah,
an Amstel.
exactly. £6.70 for a pint. But the match might have been better. So you know,
What was the score?
1-1.
Decent crowd, 4,177.
I'll tell you, it wasn't a bad game because some of the guys we were with, we were a family thing, but some of the guys who go a lot were like, "Oh, useless York City," and I was thinking, actually, the way they played, okay, they didn't create loads of chances, but it wasn't like crap football, like by any
Reminds me
stretch.
of someone else.
Yeah, we were moaning, but just not in a northern accent.
Oh, right.
My overriding feeling as I left the ground was,
I wish I was at York.
No. I am never going to a Spurs Wolves again, ever.
Oh, right.
I can't do it anymore. We save Wolves at home. We save it. We save our most horrible performances for Wolves.
4 and 6 now. They beat
Wembley. It happened
Oh,
at Wembley,
Wembley,
which
yeah.
was awful. That was a collapse. And then we've had 3 at the new ground. One of them was that famous Ndombele clip where he...
Didn't bother trekking.
And then one of them was Kulu's debut when we were 2-0 down, and it was just... Lloris chucked one in and Davis made a terrible
We
mistake.
played in the last game before COVID as well. Last home league game before COVID.
Yeah, that was it. That 3-2,
That
wasn't
was
it?
3-2, yeah.
God. And even last year we got away with it big time against them at home. We got played off the
Everyone's
park.
got a bogey team. You know, they are to us what we are to City, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone's
Except
got
from
a
when we
bo-
need to beat City.
Just a little bit of pod news before we start. We have got a special. We did a special with James Holland, who loved Ange more than anyone could ever love Ange. But we've got a little special.
It looked like the viewers liked him as well. Very well supported.
Yeah, well supported. And we've got a little special coming out later this week on Spurs in the 90s with author Gareth Dace. He's in the building. Is that the right pronunciation? Who's written a book on Spurs in the 90s called Is Gascoigne? How do I not know this? It's like in my brain. Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? Obviously, the commentary from the 1991 semi-final. We're going to talk to Gareth about Spurs in the 90s. But little question. Spurs in the 90s, what does it mean to you? You know, that was your first era, wasn't it?
Yeah, just when it all started, really. First game and
What was your first game?
Newcastle at home. August 99, Monday night, as I've just been reliably informed. Although I do remember it being a night game.
Monday night game for your first game.
Yeah, I think it was.
It
Do
was
you know
probably
what?
off school, yeah.
I think it was when I used to go to those like soccer schools,
Yeah.
and then they gave everyone a load of tickets.
Okay.
Obviously, no one wanted to go back then, so they were just giving them away for fun. And we won one of the 2 trophies I've seen us win, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Good,
Jake Robson?
good start to life as a Tottenham fan. For me, it's the just 90s Tottenham, probably because my first season was the Klinsmann season. Holston kit, Sheringham, Barnby,
What year was that?
Ozzy, Jerry Francis, 94-95. So the Klinsmann
At
dive.
Anfield. Was it that year? The
Yeah,
Anfield goal?
yeah. But a semi-final, yeah.
No,
Quarter-final.
Yeah.
Sorry, quarter-final.
Last time we won a
lost
significant FA Cup game.
Yeah, we did that with you
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago.
My first game was, I think it was a 0-0 draw away at Chelsea, actually. Or maybe 1-1, I can't remember.
Pretty good.
So,
Away game, first game.
yeah.
Firm. He was firm. He was firm in the 90s.
Exactly.
Running with the big boys.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Klinsmann, basically.
What's your memories of the 90s?
My first game was 80s.
He doesn't remember the 90s, too pissed.
Hoddle.
He's 12.
End of 80s was my first game. Hoddle's last home goal against Oxford. 90s is such a mix of... Those are the memories that shaped me as a Spurs fan. So many memories. We'll do them. We'll talk about them with Gareth.
Memories or nightmares?
Both. We won 2 trophies, and I was at both finals, and they
had a lot of semi-finals as well.
Yeah, but they stick with you. They have to at Tottenham. But you won't remember 4 goals in 4 minutes against Southampton. running down the high road after late goals against Everton. Those are the things that stick with you. And I hope, like when I take my son, I hope he remembers staying against Brighton last week and all these things. And these are the memories that shaped you as a Spurs fan.
Being in the bog against Sheffield United.
Look, that was 2000 and...
No, your son.
Sorry, that one.
Wait,
Yeah.
not this season.
Yeah.
No, Liverpool.
Oh,
Sheffield
Liverpool,
United
sorry,
won the
Liverpool.
game. Liverpool game.
When have you ever? I've never been in the toilet for a goal. What's the sort of? How loud is it?
You're never
'Cause
quite
I know
sure
you're
what's
quite-
happened.
We knew.
But you
Oh,
must
you
know
knew.
that it's
You
a
could
home
tell.
goal. Surely.
Arsenal scored a goal
Very
years
well
ago.
built stadium though. The soundproofing.
Yeah.
is,
At the old White Hart Lane, I was in the toilet and I thought it was us, but it was Arsenal.
And you had that like panic where you ran out
And
and
then
thought,
the guy over the tunnel goes, "Oh, yeah, Patrick Vieira." And you're like, oh no, it was them. Anyway, we're going to do a lot of that 90s chat with Gareth.
Can't wait.
So the club news, sometimes you have these weekends in sport or football where none of your teams do very well and all the teams you want to do badly do very well. And that was one of these weekends. So obviously the men will come to,
And Worcestershire weren't even playing.
and Worcestershire, my cricket team, won't even play. They got flooded
Right.
again. So the under-18s lost 4-1 at home to Chelsea, but West Ham also lost, so that's a good thing. But Chelsea are coming up the rails. They're third, 3 behind with 4 games in hand. They've got 3 games in hand on West Ham, so Chelsea now look at the danger. The under-18s, a little bit of a wobble. Anyway, 21s drew 1-1 at home to West Ham.
brilliant goal. That.
From
Phenomenal goal.
Iago Santiago, yeah. They're 1-0 down. That's a good result. They remain 4 clear of West Ham with 2 in hand. Ryan Sessegnon played half an hour, got injured.
It was a good front three. It was Donnelly, Sessegnon and Dane Scarlett, I think. wasn't it?
Was it Scarlett he
Yeah.
started, didn't
I
it?
think it was Scarlett, yeah.
So Sessegnon played and got injured, which is a shame for him. And he's getting a lot of abuse on social media. It's not his fault. He's just got a problem. And unfortunately, I'm not sure it's a problem that Spurs can hang around and
How
wait
much
for.
abuse would Darren Anderton have got if social media existed? Oh God.
Imagine Ledley. People would have been onto
Yeah.
Ledley, wouldn't they?
That's a
Even though-
great question. What would Spurs Twitter have been like in the 90s? Jesus, we'll talk about that. The women, they're having a wobble as well. Lost 2-1 at home to Villa, who are a little bit of a bogey team as well. They're in 6th.
By the way, you mentioned was it the other week about the women drawing City and
Oh, yeah.
in the FA Youth Cup
FA
as
Youth
well.
Cup.
And we got knocked out in the women by the League Cup, right?
Yeah.
So all 4 cup competitions, well, not the League Cup, but 4 cup competitions could all be knocked out by City this season.
Yeah, I think there's the Under-21 Premier League Cup as well, isn't there, which is separate to the Youth Cup, which they could play City at some point. Yeah, so a lot of Man City. So as I said, it's one of those weekends where all the teams you follow don't win. One of the teams I follow, when I was younger, my dad always had a Scottish team, Hamilton Academical. And he said to me, I don't know, when I was like 6 or 7, pick a Scottish team. We were in the car on the way home from a Spurs game, and I said, okay. Listening out to the results, and Queen and South drew 5-5 away from home. So I was like, they sound like a fun team. Silly name when you're younger, Queen and the South.
And when you're older.
When you're older. So I sort of followed them. I actually used to go and watch them a little bit when I was at uni in Leeds. We used to go up and have road
They
trips.
play at Hampden.
No, it's Queen's Park.
Oh, fine.
So they play in Dumfries. Anyway, they played Edinburgh City on Saturday. Edinburgh City are a team that are in crisis. They basically haven't got any players, playing a bunch of kids. They haven't won they did win the other week, but basically won 1 game in months, got 10 points all season. Queen of the South had beaten them 14 times out of 14. 1-0 up away from home on Saturday till the 96th minute, where the goalkeeper playing his 7th senior appearance comes up and heads one in, and they draw 1-1. That was that kind of typified the weekend. Arsenal win, Spurs lose, Chelsea get a good draw at City. All my teams that I want to win don't win. Obviously, West Ham lost, which we're all very happy about. But it wasn't the best weekend, was it? And that brings us nicely to Saturday. So the lineup was almost picked. Well, I didn't pick itself. We knew that Porro and Udogie were
The
out.
defence picked.
There was
itself.
probably one debate.
Does he
Suma
play?
Bentancur.
Yeah.
You don't think Dragusin was a debate?
No.
What, at
Well,
right
there
back?
was a debate.
At right
Yeah,
back?
but I don't understand it.
He was never going to. What you mean, right back or back 3?
Maybe I don't know. Change the formation.
No, it's,
it's
not
allowed.
happening. Anyway, this debate is just, I think, on Dragusin starting at this point.
I think the only
Ange isn't going to go to anyone that thinks this needs to think about exactly what they're saying. He's not going to go to a back 3, so forget that. Whatever
But
anyone
he
says.
does for the last 10 minutes of games.
No,
and
it's
then we
not
look like
happening. He's not
conceding.
starting with a back 3. He's never played a back 3, or not for any
Does
consistent
Dragusin
period.
can even play in a back 3?
Yeah, he plays.
Yeah.
For Genoa,
But he's
yeah.
not going to go to a back 3. So any fans calling for that need to just save their breath, because it's just not going to happen.
Okay.
And
Breath
also,
saved.
well, yeah, it's just not going to happen. And to suggest also, really at this point, that he should therefore play instead of either Romero or Van de Ven is also ludicrous.
Absolutely not.
But he's
changing
not, okay,
him for
in which case, he's
Romero.
not going to go to a back three. Anyone that's calling for a back three, it's not happening.
We had enough of that on the Conte.
No, I actually don't mind a back three. As a fan, I quite like watching it because I think it does. There's loads of pros to playing a back three, but you just got to think about Ange. He's not going to play.
Palace played a back three last night, and we got them next, so you might get your wish.
No, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. But I know.
It was never. I thought that there's more chance of Dragusin playing right back. He played there quite a few times for Genoa last season.
Anyway, this is the team: Vicario in goal. Back four, Royal, Romero, Van de Ven, Davies. In front of them, Sarr and Basuma. Kulusevski, Maddison, Son, Richarlison. Okay. There was a debate as to who would play, but Bentancur...
Pretty much what we expected.
Bentancur needed a rest, got his rest.
Yeah. That's how I saw it. It's more of a rest rather than anything else.
The big problem for me, and it's easy to say in hindsight when we've lost 2-1, but I did have a concern that you can't ask Emerson and Davies to come in seamlessly, having not played for a long time, seamlessly do the roles of Porro and Udogie.
True.
And I think that was a real problem throughout the game.
But what was the alternative?
This is the way we play, mate. There isn't an alternative.
No, they're injured.
I genuinely
You
think...
can
I know
change.
this,
You are allowed
I know
to
this is a bit
change your
bold, but
formation.
the way that Royale played, right, and he was like where I was in the second half, you know, his positioning is so high. We honestly could have just played Kulusevski there or something different.
Someone said on one of the
Someone
groups
said that Celtic have got an attacker called Hatate, and when their right back got injured last season, he played at right back. I can't see how a Bentancur or a Dragusin or someone wouldn't have done a better job. There's no way that they couldn't have done a better job because Royale defensively wasn't even great. Neto had an absolute field day in that first half.
I think you'd be more likely to see an attacking player playing that because what you have to be above all, you've got to be good on the ball, but you've got to be quick. You've got to be rapid because you're so high up. That's why Porro is he just plays that position so amazingly because when the balls go over the top, he's back there like a shot. But it could happen. You could see someone like Kulusevski or I don't even know, Johnson or someone. But
Emerson's average position in the game was a good 5 to 10 yards inside Wolves' half.
Where is that in comparison to Maddison, for example?
Maddison is like where you would put the number 10 if you put your number 10 in a formation.
So he's high up.
Yeah.
That's my point. And we had 70% of the ball, so he wasn't exactly required to do a lot of defending. I know it's rogue to say Kulusevski and, you know...
That's one of a mate on another WhatsApp group I'm in said, you might as well play Lo Celso there. You basically ask him to play as a number 10.
That's what I mean.
Obviously, you're not going to play Lo Celso there. But when it looked like we were struggling and he was going to make a sub and you could see he was probably going to bring on Johnson, I did wonder whether he'd put Kulusevski to right back.
He should have.
Because he's basically...
He's done that before, though.
He has done that.
He has done that for, like, you know, and yeah, he's definitely done that late on in games.
Yeah. So we go 1-0 down. That was an interesting thing because João Gomes is about 5'9".
Smallest player on the pitch, free header.
Was he actually the smallest player on the pitch? Hasn't scored all season. Free header.
It felt like we were going to concede. You know when you get a corner, the opposition get a corner and you have that inside, and I was already frustrated because Richarlison, it was a soft corner to give away and it started from a terrible wayward Emerson Royale pass that went out of play and it was a horrible phase of play. And I was already angry because it was coming. I knew we were going to go into half-time 1-0 down. We couldn't get out for about 10 minutes and they had a few corners and a few crosses and I personally felt like it was coming for a while.
So we've been a bit profligate, is that the right word, from set pieces recently. Different kinds of set pieces. Everton loaded Vicario. Brighton tried that. Okay, it didn't quite work for Brighton. But that was soft, wasn't it? That goal on Saturday?
Yeah, it was, for sure. And you can't say anything. You can't say anything else. There was. I counted looking when I watched the highlights. There were 6 players originally around where he was, and there was 9 Tottenham players in the 18-yard box, and he's managed to get on the ball. Somebody left him. I can't remember who it was, or he ran off someone.
Son, I think.
A bad goal to concede. Yeah, for sure.
That's fitting if it was Son, because he was terrible.
Well, none of them played well. And I want to talk about Richarlison again. Talked about it last week. In fact, we talked about it ad nauseum about how his best situation is being in the middle of the in the middle of the 6-yard box, not just the 6-yard box, middle of the posts, reacting. You have to give him time, like we saw chances against Burnley, Brighton. Doesn't always put them away. Fine, it's not the striker that he is. we play quite precise football at times going forward. And we started off pretty well against Wolves. I thought we played some good football, but unfortunately, it bounces off him. Can't quite rely on him to.
He does have games like that, doesn't he? When he's receiving the ball with a back to goal, sometimes the ball does bounce off him. But that's not the kind of, as you're saying, that's not where you want him. Ideally, you want him running onto the end of crosses.
So Wolves played pretty much a low block. You said to me, you went on last week, but you said to me, those are the games. The problem with Richarlison is you can't really put him in those games where he's going to have a lot of space behind, but you want him in those games when there's a low block because you chuck crosses in. That's where he's really good. I agree with that. Didn't get any crosses in on Saturday. You can't expect Richarlison to play well every single week. Fine. I just have a real concern at the moment with that number 9 position. In your opinion, should Son play there or should Richarlison play there? Because it's one or the other till the end of the season.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult. In those type of games, I understand it because obviously, you know, as you mentioned, the aerial threat. But in those kind of games, like, you want Son that little maybe bit of half a yard and gobble a chance up. Whereas in those tight games, and I think Richarlison's been brilliant recently, apart from the last two. You never really fancy him. But I don't think he should have taken him off. I think he should have taken Son off. He got that. That was a bit weird, taking Richarlison off, then putting Werner through the middle, and then sort of dilly-dallying about for 15 minutes, and then going, oh, maybe we'll put Son up front, and then Werner was sort of running into traffic every time. I would have taken Son off. Son looked like he coasted through the game and
never scored with Wolves, which is weird.
He, do you know what? I was watching a bit of Chan as well, and they both looked like they'd just played a major tournament. They both looked a bit knackered and looked like they'd played,
Chan looked knackered for about an hour.
Loads of games. There was a point in the second half where Chan went down and he wasn't hurt, and looked like he was just trying to get a breather. And Son, I don't know. He was massively hugging the touchline, and he's not done that for years. And it was receiving the ball, and a lot of it was just going back. I don't know how many passes he made back to Ben Davis or Bissouma or Maddison. He didn't. He hardly threatened in the whole game. I don't remember him doing anything.
I'm not sure you can ever take him off. I was a bit annoyed when he took Maddison off, to be honest, with, what was it, 8 minutes to go or whatever. If you need a goal when you're 2-1 down at home,
weird.
I think you keep your players on. But we got back in the game.
about Richarlison, though, you're saying that you're worried about him. I mean, no one who had him down for 10 goals in the Premier League.
I think he's been great. I think he's done so much better.
So you can't go 2 games without a goal, and you're saying you're worried about him.
I'm not worried about the
goals. It wasn't the goals. He really struggled against Brighton as well.
I'm not worried about the goals. I'm worried about the way we play. It's all very quick. I'm not going to call it tiki-taka. It's quick. It's precise. I just don't know he's the man for that. I said last week I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah.
10 goals in the Premier League season. Great.
He's fine.
Great. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. I think in terms of the man for like the kind of tight spaces and the real precision kind of passing and little flicks and stuff here and there. The thing that I think that you have when you have him and Son is just you do currently have more. I mean, Werner is not a very prolific goal scorer. No. And Son, I would say, is a prolific goal scorer, assist getter, but playing, and he's been playing most of his time at Tottenham from the left. You put Richarlison's goals, Son's goals and his assists from the left, you've got more of an output, I think, than Son through the middle with Werner on the left.
I agree.
So that's kind of where we are at this point. Whether we sign somebody in the summer to play as the number 9, I just don't see Son as our best choice number 9, personally.
It could be purely coincidental, but I had a look
especially against a low block.
For sure. I had a look at some numbers this week about possession lost. I'm not blaming Richarlison for this. Like I said, it could be totally coincidental. But since he went down the middle, our numbers of possession lost in games has gone up. The most times we've conceded possession seems to be since the highest numbers mostly are in 2024 and the back end of 2023. It's not all just him. Something's happened in the last. This is a wider topic conversation now. Something's happened in the last since Newcastle at home 4-1. 1 clean sheet in 16 games. We're not putting teams where, we're scoring goals with 37 games in a row now. Only one team's done that more in the Premier League. Great. We're playing attacking football. I'm not going to say great attacking football because I think at the times it looks a bit clunky. We're playing attacking front foot football and we love it. Great. Got to do it the other way. Something's happened since Newcastle. I know we've had injuries and suspensions and we've not been able to play regular team every week, but who does in the Premier League really, apart from Arsenal, even though they claim to have injuries and they don't. There was a stat doing the rounds. I think you said
they claim to be good and they're not.
It was on View from the Lane. Have you heard of View from the Lane? We're coming for you. they said we've conceded 1.52 goals per game this season. And can you finish the stat off? Because I can't quite remember it.
Jeez.
Newcastle, basically, no one gets in the top 4 conceding 50 goals or more. Newcastle did once, but under Poch, we conceded about 25 to 40 in the 4 years we got in the Champions League. And 3 of them seasons, we conceded less than we've conceded now, with 13 games to go.
We're on track to concede 52 goals this season, which would be our second most since 2008.
And we've probably got
season.
away with it a bit. What was that stat we discussed previously? Only Luton and Sheffield United, or Luton and Burnley's got a higher XG than us. We've got the 3rd highest XG against in the league, which is,
Do we?
If it wasn't, well, Vicario's saving stats are, if you finish 4th, your keeper should not be anywhere near the most saves in the league. I've just comparing us to Arsenal, I've got no doubt that Ramsdale and Raya combined is probably 40 saves less.
They defend. I'm sorry to say it, but Arsenal are very, very solid at the back.
Absolutely, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And they built their title charge last year on the solidity of that defence, and they're doing the same this season.
I think the thing what you were saying about the one clean sheet in 16 games, if you actually look at Newcastle side, which was we were good, but it was a bit of a freak. We played them at the right time, and that everyone out there were knackered.
Still got to pull them away.
But we've basically we've played 25 games, right, or 26.
25.
We've had since the Palace was before Chelsea, right? So we've had 15 games in a row where they have basically been complete and utter chaos, frantic. We've had maybe the Bournemouth game where we were slightly in control, although it still felt like when it went 3-1 and they had that disallowed goal, it could have, got tight. Every game has been, we've gone into like the last half an hour and we don't know the result. That's a bad sign. Every single week, that it's like, we could lose this one, we might win it, we might nick a draw. We never, even Forest away, we look remotely comfortable. Basuma gets sent off, bit of a late rally. It's all a bit edgy.
I agree with you. Just to top that, we're now 7th worst on the expected goals against. Sheffield United, Luton, West Ham, Burnley, Fulham, Newcastle. It's a bit high when you look at the teams. Okay, Man United are 2 below.
Well, Brighton and Wolves didn't have loads of chances, and I assume West Ham's has definitely gone up in the last 2 games. They conceded about 12 against Arsenal.
After the game on Saturday, there was a lot of...
What's actually the worry? What's the worry?
Okay, I'm going to say it. It's not a worry, but I don't think...
It's a problem.
It's becoming a problem. After the game on Saturday, a few people, and it wasn't, I think more than a few can be anything, but there was a lot of people saying, few concerns here, 1 clean sheet in 16, this result was coming. I think it was coming.
It was, yeah.
It was coming. And you're not like, I know we're only 25 games in, Jake. I know you're itching here to tell me that it's all going to be fine. And it may well be fine. But when you've kept 1 clean sheet in 16, I think that's a problem. Because I don't think that's sustainable. And I know we didn't have our fullbacks on Saturday. And I know that Romero and Van der Ven have been injured and have just come back and all this sort of stuff. These are excuses and they are reasons, but they are combined. We have kept 1 clean sheet in 16.
Since Van der Ven and Romero came back, we've conceded 2 goals in every game apart from Brighton. We conceded 9 in 5.
And I did think
that's a lot.
Yeah, I did wonder, now that we've got to a position, and this is just completely me, off sort of coming out with something. Just from a psychological point of view, I wonder when there was all those injuries, when it was really bad, and when Van der Ven wasn't fit, and it was literally like every other week someone would come back and someone would get injured, and we basically had a starting 11, and there'd be like 1 person on the bench who you actually could bring on,
and it was Brighton.
Well, not who you bring on to actually do something. It was
maybe a Lo Celso, and then it became a Werner.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder. And obviously the intensity just had to be absolutely, and we actually played quite well in some of those games, and everything had to be spot on, and it was like really like on the edge of your seat, kind of everyone's got to have their wits about them, switched on, tuned in. I wonder if now more players are back, it's sort of a bit not relaxed, but that kind of not the intensity might have just gone, actually we're not in such a bad situation now. We've actually got a couple of guys back. Maybe the kind of that intensity that was there when it was really backs against the wall. Maybe that's just dropped off.
I also don't think 1 game a week is helping us because we don't. Emerson and Davies come in; they're not match ready.
Yeah.
So I think performances improved at back end of December and January because we had so many out. These players were playing every week.
We
Like I
found
said,
a bit of form.
the bench was full of nothing.
Yeah.
So we found a bit of form and a rhythm, and it might take a while for the rhythm to come back.
Yeah.
But I do think these players have been back long enough now for the rhythm to start.
Well, part of the other problem, I think, which is sort of what you're saying, is a lot of these. This is probably not last week, but we were able to put out more or less our first choice starting 11, but they've barely played together this season. I mean, that's part. After that Chelsea game, they've just
Everyone thought everyone's going to come back, and that's it.
And
It's
that's
not
it.
That's not
like
that's
the
not
classic.
sport, yeah.
The classic was Bentancur.
Right.
He came back, had a few good games. I thought he was brilliant against Man United. Scored a great goal.
Yeah.
And that's just not logical. That's not how football works. You know, it's not. They come back, play well once or twice, and then they're back. You know, even Maddison's a little bit. You know, he missed 3 months. That's a long time.
Also,
The exception's Van der Ven, who's just
Come
an
back
absolute
and been
freak. I
super.
don't know how he
it's
does
just
it. but,
unbelievable, that guy.
um,
Also, we're not going. You know, over the course of a season, you're going to have blips, right? Maybe we
I
just
don't
having.
think you
we're
can-
not massively in a blip
And we're not
results
even.
wise.
That's what I was saying.
We've lost one game. Brighton was out the only game we'd lost since West Ham, right? Until
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So that would have been, we would have gone into Palace, one loss in 3 months. And it feels like we're a bit, not in crisis, but it feels like we're on really quite poor form.
I think it was the way we obviously finished against Everton, and perhaps
Clung on against
Brentford was a
Brentford,
little bit
Brighton.
harem-scarum at the end. Yeah, but okay, so Brentford, we conceded 2 goals from basically individual errors. Yeah, but they didn't play us off the park. You didn't come away from that game going, goodness me.
Every goal
we're
seems
rubbish.
to be a mistake.
Yeah, but
Every
that
goal.
is
First half, I thought we were terrible.
Yeah,
and we killed him in that 15-minute spell in the start of the second half.
Yeah.
and he changed it.
It's
Great.
the same against Brighton, though. We were rubbish first half, and then we got better in the second.
Yeah, Brighton was a bit stodgy, and we kind of finished strong. But I just also think that are you not just gonna get that like across a season? I think you're looking at it from kind of individual game basis, but over 25 games, it's been pretty good.
I think you're
That's fair, right?
I think that is absolutely fair, but I think you're entitled to come away from a defeat against Wolves at home on the back of scraping past Brighton, ultimately, but we beat them, fine.
Yeah, but you know,
a
that's
poor
like,
performance
it's almost
against
like saying that
Everton.
we should be battering Brighton and Brentford. It's like, I don't think that...
It's the home games. It was Everton, Burnley in the cup, Brentford and Brighton.
Which we won.
We
them,
scraped them all.
we won them all. and
It's
that's-
fine when you're winning them, but as soon as you don't, it feels a lot worse.
I thought Saturday was really bad.
Yeah, but on another day, Wolves don't win that game.
Oh, I thought we
29% possession
we had no chance. We had one chance, and it was in the last minute. We didn't create a chance.
But,
The goal was a moment of magic.
yeah, but but I'm saying, again, their goal...
But it's different because they've set up to do what they did. We're the
Yeah.
home team.
Yeah.
We had 72% possession, right,
Yeah.
and didn't create a chance. You know, you watched the game.
I saw the highlights.
You went, where did the game go?
It felt very...
What happened in the game?
Well,
I watched Match of the Day.
I saw
no.
a stat that said we had an XG of 1.71. In fact, they said it on Match of the Day. We had an XG of
I don't know where
1.71.
that came.
Well,
Well, maybe
Ben
the
Davies-
Ben
Wolves
Davis chance
Wolves
was
only
higher.
had 1.5. So, I mean, that's not that big a difference. But it's not like we've been played off the park.
I think it's right. I think it's fair. Everything you've said. We're 25 games in. We've lost 1 game since Brighton. Fantastic.
Have we not also scored a lot of goals this season?
Well, we said we scored
52
30.
goals.
That's all fantastic. A worry for me. I think clean sheets are a real worry. 1 clean sheet in 16 since we beat Fulham just before a few games before Chelsea in October. That says something to me.
Our goal difference is 14. That's the 5th best in the league. We're 5th.
The truth is, our sort of level, they don't keep many clean sheets. We should be keeping more, but they don't. United don't keep many. Villa don't keep many. Newcastle don't. That's about our level, really. If you look at the goal, I actually looked at the goals conceded. We've conceded 4 more than United and 2 more than Villa.
Look,
And
Man
we've
United have
conceded-
only
Right.
Man United's win on Sunday only just got their goal difference plus.
That's
plus
what I
1.
mean. I'm not saying that 1 in 16 is acceptable, but
I think that needs fixing for
Yeah.
me.
I tell
That's
you
what I'm saying,
when Poch
Jake.
came in, he almost fixed the defence first and then built that way. And it definitely feels like, obviously, Ange, I hope it definitely hasn't gone defence first. But then, this time last year, all everybody wanted was goals, football. I don't care if we lose, as long as we score 4 goals, people say, that kind of thing.
But have you really felt wins against Wolves? Sorry, defeat to Wolves, win against Brighton. Did you really feel we were playing brilliant attacking football and 2-1 really should have been 3 or 4?
No, it's definitely gone off the boil a bit. But I mean, it's only 2 games in the whole season. And I also think that going into this season, what were our expectations?
Oh God, if you told me we were going to be 4th or 5th now, I'd have taken a bit
Well,
in your hand off.
so then that's the thing. That's the bigger picture. The
Well,
bigger
expectations have risen.
They have,
Clearly.
and that's the
risen.
problem. And this is what happened to Poch after 2 years. Suddenly, everybody thought we should be challenging for the league every 2 minutes, every season. And that was when, and then when we didn't, people were saying, "Oh, you know, we're useless, we're crap." And it's like, hold on a sec, we're still finishing the Champions League every season, having never been in it.
It's funny because I get called an eternal pessimist. But when I say things like, I think we should be putting teams away a little bit more based on the players we've got, I get told I can't say that because we're only 25 games in and we've got to wait to see what Ange does.
But
That's got nothing to do with 25 games in.
No, who puts teams away every week in the Premier League?
I don't want it every week.
Well, who puts teams away? Who puts teams away?
The top 3.
Liverpool, City, Arsenal. Well, they're
But
much.
we're aspiring for that.
Yes, but we're not there yet.
Absolutely.
That's the difference.
Absolutely not
And
there
also, I'm sorry to say, but we're probably never going to get to City. So you can make, City are just on another level. Guardiola, the money they spent, all that kind of thing, the players they've got. So I don't think you can really compare us. Oh, we should be putting teams away like City do. I think that's not.
Conceding 2 every week is an issue.
That is an issue. I totally agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I totally
it's an
agree.
issue. And if you shout it out as an issue, you're a little bit worried that this result was coming and defence is an issue. All of a sudden, you're Ange out. I think we've all championed
Are you?
Ange. Absolutely not.
You're Ange out.
We've all championed Ange and been delighted with how he's coming
Doesn't
in.
mean we can't criticise him.
I think you're entitled to criticise or see a couple of red flags and go,
I
hang on,
absolutely
this
love him,
needs
but I
fixing.
left the ground on Saturday and I was like disappointed in Ange. The players,
But
a lot
that's
of them
fair.
were poor. None of our big guns turned up. But, the manager's got a lot to answer for a game which I felt like there was no plan in the game. Wolves probably could not believe their luck. They were distinctly average. They scored a set piece and a counter-attack from our corner and just defended their box and headed it away for fun.
It's a bit, for me,
It wasn't difficult for them.
No. But I do think that, I think that just looking at the games we've got coming up then, we've got Palace at home. Well, from what I've...
be a different game now than it would have been if Roy was still in.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
need to fix the away form. That's what we do need.
So we got Villa away and Fulham away. Well, and then we got Luton at home and West Ham away. Villa and Fulham will not play. They won't play low block against us. They will come out.
That will suit us. Fulham.
That will
definitely.
suit exactly. Everton.
But
Everton
Jake,
away.
okay,
Like,
I'm glad you said this. I'm glad you said this because with 25 games in, it was great. It's dipped a little bit. It's up and down, fine. Turn around to me in another 25 games and tell me I was wrong to say there was a wobble or a little bit critical. And I'll hold my hands up and go, fine. It's a bit like the Brighton subs. The Brighton subs for me didn't work. But people will say it did work because sub 1 crossed to sub 2 and we won the game. It's not as simple as that. What happened before it, I don't think was great. If we go on a run and this time 15 games into next season, so another 25 games in, we're playing brilliant football, and you turn around to me and go, you were wrong in February, March, you said it was wobbling. I'll say, well, I felt like we were. In this moment, I feel he needs to fix it a little bit. And
I think when we get to the end of the season, even if we end up finishing 5th or 6th, I think you would look... in any case, I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought we'd finish 5th. That is where I said, and I was telling people that we would finish.
I thought 7th.
So wherever we finish, you can't say that this season, some of the games and some of the football that we've been playing, you've been to the games at home, you sit high up enough to even appreciate it even more. Like some of the football...
It's my fault.
No, as in you will see it because you see it better when you're sat high up because I've noticed it. Some of the football we've played...
Superb.
Well,
okay.
So if we've conceded a lot of goals this season, it's just what I don't think you can have it all ways.
And you know what?
We were 3rd at this time last year, weren't we?
We're
Third or 4th.
We're not far off that Southampton anniversary, are we?
Yeah, but weren't we still actually 4th when that happened?
Yeah, but teams had games in hand.
Yeah, all right. But you know what I mean? We were actually much better. We were higher up in the table than it felt like we were.
The point you make about sitting high up on Saturday, we'd got in the game. We'd actually started playing okay before they scored. Basuma gave the ball away. And the moment they played it out to Neto, my head I could see, you could see it all happening. Yeah. It's like when you're playing FIFA and you know that bloke's going to press that button and that button and they're going to score. And you just knew it was going to be bang, bang, goal. And I love Pedro Neto.
We still defended it horribly, though.
I love Pedro Neto. Can we sign him?
I'd love to sign him.
I don't even think he was that good on Saturday, but
No, he
he's
wasn't.
just so
Rapid, proper
rapid.
winger.
just so when he broke away. I thought, oh god, this is trouble. Because you know when it's like that kind of player, you think we're in trouble because you know he's going to get to the byline, you know he's going to make the right decision.
I've never played left back, left centre back. People saying Emerson should have gone to him.
It's
should have
easier
done
said than done. He's probably the most dangerous winger in the league at the moment.
Yeah, it was,
He's on
and
absolute
a
fire.
good finish from João Gomez, who's never going to score 2 goals in a game ever again.
Classic.
Oh, exactly. That's the other thing. And if Davis top bins it at the end,
I think it's because Wolves turned us around. So he was normally in that position in the second half. It'd be a defensive header.
I don't think it was as easy of a header as everyone thinks.
I think a
Davis
centre
chance.
forward probably hits the target.
It was awkward, but yeah, it summed it up nicely.
Did you stay after that? I was
left.
I was up and away at that point. It was only a minute
It's the
left.
first game I've left early this season.
Were you still at
It was a minute.
Were you still at York Dagenham checking? Were you checking your phone relentlessly?
obviously, I was trying to watch it.
Is there anything worse when you're at a game? and
Trying to
you
watch
lose
it?
and You're just like, oh.
Yeah, no.
Just like, oh.
It's
You're
fine.
not at the game.
I'd
and
had
you're
3
just checking
pints
it.
by then, so I was a
Oh,
bit
okay.
more like
3 pints. So what's that? £18.20 or something.
Don't.
£19.
You needed more than 3.
Don't. Yeah. Yeah, no. It was. I was checking the scores. I was a bit depressed. To be
But
honest.
This is probably not going to change, is it? Ange has got 2 weeks now. We got a massive period of probably 5 games until we have that period where everyone knows about. We really need to cash in big time. We've got Palace, Luton, Forest at home, West Ham, Villa, Fulham away.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get
A lot of points.
a lot of points.
I think I don't see any reason why we won't beat Palace. Although it's a bit unfortunate they're going to have a new manager bounce. I would have thought Villa away is difficult. Villa are good. They're one.
Take a draw in that
Yeah,
kind of game,
absolutely.
this scenario.
Fulham away is tough, but I still think that
It'll
we
be there
go
for
there
the
and win.
taking.
Yeah, absolutely. Luton, West Ham away.
You don't know in the Premier League.
Well,
from game to game.
That true.
Palace looked a different team
too,
at times yesterday.
That too. So this tough run though, we've got Tottenham, we've got Man City and Arsenal at home. We could beat them both.
We don't want to beat City.
Newcastle away. I mean, that kind of scares me more than City and Arsenal at home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
City and Arsenal, like we play good football at home. We could have a spell where we I was going to say blow them
What
away. We're
date's
not going to blow them
Newcastle?
away. Newcastle away is
Why, you're going to make sure you're not around?
it's
No.
13th of April. Although that might
Perfect.
change for
Week
TV.
before the FA Cup semi-final. Newcastle hopefully in it.
Are they still in the FA Cup?
Yes.
There you go.
Got it all mapped out.
We got City, Arsenal, Liverpool. That's a little.
And
that's a
also
tricky little run.
that City game, hopefully, will be second from last game when they've already won the league. That would be very ideal.
We're looking for. I can't look past Palace.
Palace is tricky because their new manager. I was watching on Sky last night. They were doing a bit of a deep dive into the way he plays. They should start playing some really good football.
How did you bear Jesse Marsh for that long?
I'm unpopular opinion. I really like the guy. Am I on my own there? I think he's got a very smart footballing brain. I find him quite inspiring. I mean, I don't know. People don't like him because he's almost a bit too much. But
I don't think that works in the Premier League.
no,
No.
not over here. Not over here, mate.
Okay.
Coming over here, bringing your enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Maybe it doesn't work in the Premier League. I don't know. He did all right at Leeds for a fair bit.
On Palace's new manager, James Holland, friend of the show, check out the special we did with him. He mentioned Oliver Glasner, said what a good manager he was. So it's going to be a difficult thing, Palace. We played Frankfurt when Glasner was in charge, beat them 3-2. Do you remember that game? Kane scored a penalty and then
Missed a penalty.
missed a penalty.
Oh, right.
Which when England played France at the World Cup and Kane had already scored one, when he put the ball on the spot, this sad person here went, "Don't do an Eintracht." And he did exactly that. Put the ball in the same spot over the crossbar. That Frankfurt side were a good side. It's a
They
good-
won the Europa League, right?
not
Not with him. though,
not
was
with
it?
him.
Oh, it
He
wasn't with him.
It wasn't Glasner. They won the German Cup with him.
Right.
Or we got to the final. I think they were runners up under him. They lost to Leipzig or beat Leipzig.
I've heard like he's got his last 6 teams into Europe. The last 6 years he's been in
He'll
management.
do really well, and
So that's pretty
he'll
good.
play 3 at the back. It's a
They'll
really
play high
We got
press,
a good record against Palace.
quick transition, high press, attacking, front foot style. They play like what everyone else is doing now.
It might not be a bad time to play him. I don't
Mm,
think the new manager bounce always
maybe not.
works in that team's favour. Sometimes it could
They've got a lot of issues.
Will they have Elise and Eze back?
be be very tight.
Elise say no.
In which case, it's a better time.
Eze
to play
maybe
them.
Gay is
They
out
don't.
as well.
Without them two, they're in a way
they're
worse
they're
position to play
attacking
the
players,
style of football that he wants.
Seriously, you know, last night was it Schlupp, Ayew and Edouard? That is.
Did Mateta not start?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mateta, sorry.
Mateta,
That's
yeah.
quite.
Should be beating Palace at home.
Yeah.
Should we be beating Wolves at home? Probably, but we never do, as you said. 4 wins in 6 against us. You know, since they've come up in 2018, they've only beaten West Ham and Southampton more than they've beaten
Who's
us.
that?
Wolves.
And
Just a bogey team for us.
They've done a double over.
Gary
us.
Neal's done
They
a
even
treble
bloody
over
did
us.
it. I remember even like in 9-10, they did us at Molineux 1-0 and done us enough times. At home once they did us 1-0. Kevin Doyle scored.
Kevin Doyle. Funny old team.
Yeah.
Anyway. Look, just to go back to what I was saying, no way near Ange out. I just think it's fair to point out a couple of things that are happening. And it's his job to fix them. And I'm sure he'll fix them. And you can all tell me this time next year that I was talking out my backside yet again. And I'll be the first one to say, yes, I was. Isn't it great?
You
All
don't
right.
sound very optimistic that that's going to happen.
I don't know. It's conjecture otherwise. He's got to fix it. We've got to start keeping clean sheets or you'll amount to
The
nothing.
thing is, for me, it goes from very exciting to very frustrating quite quickly, the way we're playing.
And it's all very new, and the
Yeah.
players are still learning. And like I said, you're asking Emerson and Davies to come in and do such specific roles that they're not used to, and that's the way he plays. And I totally get it. And we'll sign new players that can. They're looking at apparently his left back from Lecce, who's very similar to Udogie, who can play these positions.
We need 2 fullbacks.
We need 2 fullbacks to cover.
Especially in Europe.
You cannot have the drop off that big. We're going to be in Europe next season.
Yeah.
Probably the Europa League, if not the Champions League. We can't have that. You can't have. I mean, obviously it was a freak this week with the 2 of them out. Typically, very us after everyone being fit. But
Yeah.
you cannot have that. You can't be so reliant and have that fine line of 1 or 2 players getting injured and have that drop off. Can't happen.
Because we talked about the drop off for so long, and the squad has improved. So the drop off now is the bench is loaded.
But we
with good
all
quality.
knew this. I remember I said this to my friend a few weeks ago. The squad's looking a lot better, but 1 or 2, an injury to Porro, and it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Porro played every minute since the first game.
And we're still building, and I get it. It's just, I know it takes time, but we will see.
But I don't have time.
The Premier League doesn't wait for you.
For no
It
man.
eats you up. And I don't like this comparison to, Arteta and Klopp had wobbles. So we're going to go and win Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues.
Yeah, but that's not the point, though. It's more of a case of these things take time.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through the rebuild. Look at United. They're not even out of the rebuild yet, are they? They're on about their 4th rebuild now.
Yeah.
Also, the point is, if you believe in a style of player or a philosophy, you are, as the manager, you are happy to, not happy, but you will take this rough with the smooth.
Right, but
that
quick
it
question
should
on
then
that
bring.
before we go. Quick question. You're a cricket man. Where are you
Been
on?
known.
Where are you
I
on?
was thinking exactly this.
On when Plan A doesn't work,
Yeah.
do Plan A harder. And,
Yeah.
and I was speaking to friend of the show, Paul Bellston, about this, and he mentioned it. Southampton did it last year, got them relegated. When Plan A doesn't work, Plan A go harder.
I think
Great
it's-
philosophy, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think it's very easy. Well, Pep lives by it. Klopp lives by it.
But Pep has changed.
Yeah, over the years, but he doesn't change from game to game, or sort of in
No,
matches.
rubbish. He does some bizarre tactics in Champions League finals and
Yeah, but that's more
semi-finals.
that. Yeah, but in terms of the general philosophy of their play, and this was what he had at the beginning, and he had Claudio Bravo in goal, and he wanted his goalkeeper to pass out from the back, and he'd screw it up, and they still tried it, and then they got rid of him. And it's the same with the England cricket team. I liked how they played for the last year and a half. I'm not going to sit here when they get battered and go, oh, well, why don't you play like you played before when they won 1 in 17 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I like the way that I've seen Tottenham play. Like I can reel you off some of the games this season that have been, amazing finishes or whatever, the way that we've carried on. I mean, even Chelsea with 10 men, we would have won that game. I mean, that says it all.
I'm just prodding. We'll see what happens. Gentlemen, Ange has time. We don't have any more time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So we got nothing this week because Chelsea win the League Cup final. Then we got Palace. So we'll dissect. We'll look ahead to Palace next time. Thank you for joining us, Jake and Jake.
Thanks.
Don't forget to check out the special. We're going to interview Gareth Dace, author, talk about Spurs in the 90s. So look out for that this week as well. Gentlemen, thank you again. We will see you soon. And up the Spurs.